Thank you so much, Ramon. And for some added perspective on today's emergency meeting on Haiti, we're joined by Assistant Lecturer for Public Policy and Political Leadership and Strategy at the University of the West Indies, Damion Gordon. Good evening to you, Mr. Gordon.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us, sir. First of all, what's the significance of today's crisis meeting on Haiti?
Right. So, as most of us may be aware of by now, Haiti is currently facing its most severe humanitarian crisis since the earthquake struck in 2010. The government of the country has effectively been overthrown, and the country is now, for all intents and purposes, being governed by criminal gangs, armed criminal gangs. They are pretty much taking over the residence of the president, the national police. They have taken control of the airports. The public healthcare system in the country has effectively collapsed. The 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 over a million residents are now at risk of famine and starvation. So this humanitarian crisis is very secure, is very dire. The state has lost its capacity to provide or deliver essential services to citizens, especially security. So it is facing a crisis of security. And the reality is that the country has no government currently. The country has very little capacity to deliver public services to citizens. And it requires the international community, led by CARICOM, to provide some sort of intervention to return some semblance of normalcy to Haiti, at least for the time being.
So here we have a delegation from Canada, we have France, Brazil, as well as the U.S. Secretary of State. They're all part of this discussion. Does that signal a greater willingness on the international scene, you think, to address the long-standing issues that that's been plaguing Haiti?
The issue, however, is that I am not sure about the sustainability of the intervention, because the reality is that for decades, successive presidents of Haiti have pretty much weaponized and armed civilians in the absence of a military and an effective police force. Presidents, in order to ensure their own sense of security, have pretty much armed civilians over the years. So what you find is that the armed capabilities of the military, the gangs in Haiti far outweigh the armed capabilities of the police force there. So even when you have these interventions, they deliver immediate short-term economic relief to the citizens, and the interventions are short-term in nature. But if the interventions don't address the underlying problem, the fact that there are these gangs that have significantly more harm capabilities, if you don't disarm these guys and these guys still maintain their armed capabilities, as soon as the intervention is completed, it will return to its old state of instability, and the threat of civil war will always be hanging over the citizens of Haiti.
Talking about the military intervention, what could that possibly mean for the region and for us here in Jamaica specifically?
Yes, yes. So, as you know, it is a part of CARICOM, and obviously it is in our best interest to ensure that there is political stability in the region, given the fact that it is also one of Jamaica's closest neighbor. The democracy of the country obviously has been threatened, because where you have extra state actors, assuming power, it fundamentally threatens the democracy of the country, and it undermines democratic values in general. So obviously this latest move is an attempt to once again restore some semblance of democratic governance to Haiti. It is also to ensure that much needed humanitarian relief is directed to the needy citizens of Haiti, and it is also intended to provide a pathway to effect some permanent solution that will address the long-standing issues of Haiti. But the long-standing issues of Haiti are really structural. They are related to the socioeconomic context of the country, the high level of poverty, the lack of human development, the lack of human resources, the lack of a security force, the lack of a military, the fact that there's complicity between the leaders and criminal gangs. So all of those issues are really long-standing, and we have to carefully think about the kind of intervention that it will need to address those long-standing issues, rather than something that is temporary, that may last for a year or two or three, and then as thereafter it returns to its former state of instability.
Very quickly, should we be concerned here in Jamaica with the apparent uptick in the number of Haitians seeking asylum here?
We should be concerned in the sense that obviously, as Jamaica being one of Haiti's closest neighbor, obviously we are at risk for an influx of immigrants. So that is the most immediate risk that we face here in Jamaica. However, given the context of what is happening, I think there are general consensus has to be reached among CARICOM member states in terms of sharing the burden of the responsibility of accommodating the refugees and asylum seekers during this point in time, because obviously Jamaica alone does not have the capacity to accommodate a large volume of Asians. So there has to be some consensus that is reached between Jamaica and other CARICOM member states about how we can provide some temporary assistance in terms of those who are seeking refuge, as well as those who may need to seek asylum, or at least somewhere to stay temporarily until things return to normality in Haiti. So I would hope that this is one of the outcomes of the high-level meeting that is being held currently.
Thank you so much, Damion Gordon. There, the Assistant Lecturer for Public Policy and Political Leadership and Strategy at the University of the West Indies. Thank you so much for your time, sir.